All right, let us call to order the meeting of the Office of Economic Development for the City of Lynchburg. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Start with a roll call. Sean Hewitt. Here. Pat Mosby.
Here.
George Ann Sneed.
Here.
Kim Sorensen.
Here.
John Stone. Here. Richard Tugman.
Here.
Sackett Wood.
Here.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda will be the approval of minutes from our December 21 meeting. Those minutes are in your packet. Do we have any comments before I accept a motion to approve? Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
Motion to approve as presented. Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Minutes are approved. Next item will be to introduce our new Office of Economic Development and Tourism Assistant Director.
Okay, I'm really, really excited to introduce to you, and I put her resume in your packet. This is Janelle Galbraith. She comes to us. Her last job was in Redding, California, and economic development and innovation, and she wore about 3 or 4 different hats, as anybody that works for a municipality usually does. Her husband is the athletic director at Randolph College, and so we are she's like just got here, so we are just so excited to have, but you all happen to have a meeting, so I wanted to introduce her, and you'll be seeing and hearing from her a lot more, and we're so excited to have her.
Nice warm weather for you.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you all.
Glad to have you.
I had the opportunity to meet with Janelle when we were interviewing, and very optimistic and very thankful for what we've got. Glad to have her here.
Awesome.
Next up is a reminder. I can probably cover this. If I
Yeah.
forget anything, let me know. You should have received in the mail a packet from the city with a statement of economic interest. We need to fill that out and submit it by February 1. If you didn't get one, see Margette.
Yeah, and just, you can drop them off, you can email, you can do whatever. I think they do have to have a wet signature on the forms, but there is a fine to the city if they are not received by February 1st. So they go out just to warn you, they go out every year, so you can be, expecting them at the first, even if you came on the EDA very recently and you filled one out, they're all due are sent out in January and due on February 1st. So I know it's really easy to, when things like that come up, and it's kind of a daunting packet.
I don't
But
know if this is helpful, but the last year's form, so the 2022 form is a change from the 2021.
Yes.
This year did not. And I'm not suggesting you crib from the last year's, but to make your life easier, things haven't changed.
That's
and all you need to
amazing.
change out is the signature form.
Exactly.
And you're okay.
That's amazing,
Yeah.
because I couldn't find my 2022, so I'm glad you told me that, Richard.
No worries.
Okay.
Very good. Next item on the agenda is our MUMS Performance Loan Agreement.
So we're bringing this back to you all, and it's a little flip-flopped, but all of the agreements, I just want you all to be familiar with the agreements that are coming down, and because this money is coming from the state, from the Department of Housing and Community Development, right? And then it's gonna pass through the EDA as a loan to the developer that applied, for that loan through DHCD. And so there are very few things that we have jurisdiction over, but one of them was there's a variable there on the interest rate side of it. So what I'm asking you all to do is to approve the documents that are there that we do have some say over, and base your approval of those on the finance committee, who is going to meet directly after this, right? So they're gonna, and if their recommendation is to approve, then you'd authorize the chair when it's appropriate, which if any changes happen to these documents, one of them is a performance agreement, which will be
the performance agreement is with the, DHCD, us, and like most performance agreements we have, and the developer of the building, right? So they really will control the performance agreement side of it, but Ted looks at everything, you know, that we do and recommends or not. But this is gonna move really fast. They've got a time frame on when these documents need to go. So I just want you all to be familiar with them. And there are a few things like we've already talked about, and that is that in terms of the terms of the loan, it's a 20-year loan, but you all have agreed that if there were a 10-year balloon on it, you know, you would let them pay it off at that point in time. That is, that's why I have it on here. So the Finance Committee's gonna look at this from the interest rate standpoint, right? The developers have just got some information on why they need a lower interest rate.
Please.
So I wasn't here in December, I'm just catching up. So in December, it looks like y'all voted for a 4% rate, and then you went to them, and then they said, no, we
Yes.
like 2.5.
Right.
And so now it goes back to the Finance
Yes.
Committee to decide, is that the sequence of events?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, sorry, just wanted to catch up.
absolutely.
Does it continue to be negotiable, or is, 2.5% on one side, 4% on the other side? Is there a happy medium?
Yeah, I'm just saying that this group is making up the developers are talking to the EDA, because when these programs come down, you have a really limited time to apply for them. And you have to be in almost exactly the right situation to apply for them. This group did that, and they were really, even though they had been told that, an interest rate, certainly that's up to you all to set that interest rate, but the 2.5% interest rate, which is the lowest, is what helps them make the project work.
And part of that is, as we all know, in downtown right now, the easiest development is residential development.
Yes.
And we would like to see more commercial. And so we pushed them to make their first floor commercial,
Okay.
when it would have been a lot easier for them to make it residential.
Residential.
And so they've made it commercial. Margette introduced them to a tenant. Looks like that's probably gonna work.
Okay.
But the numbers aren't as advantageous for them on commercial as it would have been for residential.
Understood. Thank you, that's
Okay.
helpful.
So when we
Thanks.
came up with 4, we wanted it to be something that was helpful to them. But they said if 4, our pro formas don't look like they need to, we need the 2.5.
Gotcha.
And so we, just in discussions, felt like since we were encouraging the commercial, it was reasonable for us to offer them the 2.5 as opposed to pushing for 4.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I admit I'm a little bit confused. Do we want a recommendation and an approval based on Finance Committee's expected approval?
Yes,
Okay,
just subject to.
got it.
If they recommend this course of action, you all would approve it.
Okay.
And as a member of the Finance Committee, I would say I would approve it when it comes to that, so FYI.
Okay, so we want a motion to approve, subject to Finance Committee's approval at their meeting immediately following this meeting.
So,
Second.
All right, all in favor of approval, subject to Finance Committee approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
What's next?
Me.
Good.
Okay. So, Tuesday night, last Tuesday, I gave a presentation to City Council, kind of an update on things. And so I want to give that same presentation to you all. So, have you got it? Okay. I'm not a good cooker. I get on the roll, and I've left the slide way behind. So,
Margette.
this is really like a combination, and we tried to, make it so that we were giving facts to council as well as to you all. Much of this you have heard before because you're on the, you're on the front lines of all of this. But when we look at the city of Lynchburg as a community, we're young, we're diverse, and we're growing. So 79,000 residents, that's a 5% increase from 2010 to 2020. The median age is 28.5. The city manager talks about this all the time. The US average is 38. That's a really, really great statistic to have, but one of the things that I wanted to bring to you all's attention was the fact that when you look at the labor participation rate for the city, it's always like a key metric. And I for one, have looked at it and gone, when it's at 59% or 52%, I go, well, what's happening here? But if you think about how things are calculated, it's done in bands, and the key working age is from 25 to 54, right? Our age of 28 gets brought, to that level because we have so many that are from 18 to 24, right? But most of the time they're in school and they're not working. So they bring the overall rate down of participation, but the rate in Lynchburg from 25 to 54 is 83%. So these are all things that, I want people equipped with, is really, when you look at data, you have to dig in there and really understand, what it's saying and why it's saying that. So
The effective rate is higher.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And so what we want to do is we have over 30,000, college students that graduate on some level from the colleges and institutions here, and we really want to try to retain, as many of those students as possible. So 37% of our residents are people of color, and 4% are foreign-born. So I think that's, very, very eye-opening. And also what I did in this presentation was I started to talk about things that I thought could be takeaways. So you all probably know this, but the cost of living in Lynchburg is 10% lower than the national average. Our wages have continued to rise here. I'm not saying they're where they absolutely need to be. Most people will probably always say that, but they rose 5.5% in 2023. So when you look at the city, our three largest employment sectors drive 50% of the GDP. So that's healthcare and social assistance is number one, educational services is number two, and manufacturing is number three, but manufacturing is the highest in driving that GDP. So manufacturing here, when you look at this from an economic development lens, manufacturing in the city is 22% higher than the national average. And our site development initiatives, as you all know, Lynchburg is an old city and it's a built city, right? And 72% of the workforce for the city comes from the county. So if the city weren't here, it would be, we are the employment center. And therefore, we are trying to find any parcels of land, right, that are not owned by the private sector. We're fortunate or unfortunate that the private sector owns almost everything, and we can work alongside them, but I can't tell them what to charge for their leases. I can't I can't say, I want your property. I can't do any of that. So as you all know, we have got sites at your industrial park, Ivy Creek Industrial Park, that we are currently, working on, but we are currently working on those sites to try to attract a advanced manufacturing type of facility there. So many times when we talk about the city, we're an eds and meds city, so the healthcare system, largest employer, Liberty, largest, they run neck and neck at times. So it's meds and eds, but that is we refer to them as our anchors because they're not necessarily like some of the other businesses can reorganize, can be bought by somebody else, and they can pick up and leave, overnight, like a Master Brands or something. If they reorganize that business, none of the businesses that went out here over the last couple of years in talking to the top of the house had anything to do with the city of Lynchburg itself, right? It had to do with shifting of what their product was. It was efficiencies. It was all kinds of things, but I was assured that it was not anything that the city had done. And most of them had been here for quite some time. Educational services are 7 times higher here than the U.S. average. And one of the things that these that the eds and meds do is they drive a tourism product here that is pretty bulletproof. So how you balance your economy out when you're talking about that is that tourism piece of it, that visitor service piece of it, that opportunity to hold on to people, right, and grow other businesses here can be driven by those sectors, the eds and meds sectors. And we have really worked hard in the last year to elevate those relationships with the colleges, like much more digging down deep and saying, how do I help you get more students here, right? Randolph and University of Lynchburg both have goals to bring more students in. How do we help them do that? How do we sell the city for them, much like we sell the city for companies who are trying to attract talent? So with you all support, you know that our office leads business retention, expansion, and attraction efforts, including marketing and promoting the city of Lynchburg as a destination for investments. And that's whether those investments are a business, a person moving here to work for a business, or it's visitors. So you also know we've had 2 great announcements in the last year. Delta Star worked with our office, the governor, and Virginia Economic Development Partnership. They're going to invest $30 million into their existing facility and do an expansion of about 80,000 square feet. We're retaining 460 jobs, and we're adding 149 jobs. And Delta Star's headquarters is in the city of Lynchburg. So those are really important. When the headquarters is here, you have some influence over, hopefully, over decisions. But that doesn't mean that any expansion is not competitive. Meaning I have had conversations with businesses here where a state or municipality came in and just offered them $1 million to pick up and move. Right? So economic development is something that everybody wants. So Framatome, you all were instrumental in bringing that forward. So Framatome is going to invest $49.4 million in their 2 facilities, mainly at the Mill Ridge facility, and they are going to hire 515 people. And I was just telling Gary that those jobs are going to be obviously engineers, but they're also going to be technicians. And a lot of those technician jobs don't necessarily require a college degree. You could come out of high school, go to the CVCC Nuclear Academy, and be able to go to work as a technician for Framatome. So this is really going to be the art of the possible in terms of when I leave this meeting today, I'm going over to Framatome to work right alongside them to see where are all the ways that we can intersect, right? With Lynchburg City Schools, the colleges and universities here, plus where are their recruitment efforts, and how do we make all of that? How do we sell the city for them? I know Emmeline and our team on the marketing side are putting together videos for both Delta Star and Framatome to show the quality of life here. We have ambassadors. You all will see a video, hopefully. Good job. In a few minutes on, we go to the businesses here, and they select an ambassador from their workforce, and that ambassador talks about their experience of living in the city. So the city of Lynchburg, this is my other did you know, the city of Lynchburg is Framatome's North American headquarters. So it's a French company, but we're the North American headquarters, and they have 1,300 employees in Lynchburg. So the programs that we have here, mainly the Enterprise Zone, which is a state program that we administer, and the local redevelopment grant that comes back through you all, that's supported by council. Those are both driven, the return on investment on those is capital investment and jobs created. So of the things that we capture, over $600,000 in grant funds were awarded to businesses here, 13 local businesses supported, $9 million in commercial property investments, and 245 jobs created from those investments. And Alicia is amazing. She just completed the application for us to renew Enterprise Zone number 2. And it's called number 2 because we were the second municipality in the state to get an enterprise zone. And we've had that enterprise zone for over 40 years now. But you have to re-up, you have to make an application to them, and then it has to be accepted by the General Assembly. But I think our office, since we took over the enterprise zones, they used to be in community development, we have really helped this community understand, you know, how to use those incentives. Okay. So you all know a lot of this, but council probably didn't. So we are out there all the time working with the state of Virginia Economic Development Partnership and the Alliance, Megan, to promote the sites that we have. And in order to promote the sites, you hear the term all the time, pad ready sites. That means you got utilities, you have conceptual drawings, you have access to the site, and you also probably have construction documents, you know, or permitting documents on the way, or your whole team is on board to get those really quickly. Because most of the time when a prospect comes forward, it's, you know, rather unrealistic, but they're looking at 18 months to be up and running. And if you don't have an existing building, or you don't have something, you know, for them, they move on, you know, to look elsewhere. But we secured $450,000 in grants from Go Virginia and from Virginia Economic Development Partnership to move the ball forward on the sites that we have, doing due diligence to know exactly how much it's going to cost us to build these sites, or it's going to cost a prospect to build these sites. So we have a video. I think I might have shown it to you all before, but this is done by local folks here for us. And as a matter of fact, I think we had a prospect, just because we've been doing this work, we have increased our visibility tremendously when it comes to prospects, because you have to have product in order to get prospects. And the product, you know, as the city manager always says, if you don't control the dirt, you don't control the deal. And so many of the product around here, like the River's Edge building out there, that building is owned by the private sector. So he controls that. We just try to work with him to put somebody in there. So the other great thing is that the city had $174.8 million in commercial construction permits in 2023, which is a 10% increase. So we're going to show this video really quickly just to show you this is what we would send, you know, to a prospect to show them what could be possible, you know, at the site. So that's Boxley Block on one side. That's Boxley. Over to the right-hand side, that's Boxley right there. So your property is behind that. So that is the conceptual drawing of the building. It can fit about up to 600,000 square feet on that. And that is, on the other side is Virginia Metal Treating that we went to, I think, a couple of years ago on a retreat afterwards. That's a beautiful building that sits up there. But you can see we have to get access to the building and then utilities to the building. And Clayton has done an unbelievable job because we've had more prospects than we've ever had before, because we had inventory of forming relationships with all the utilities, because you have to be able to turn that information around on a dime to get back to them, because it's a contest and you can get eliminated really, really quickly. So the EDA owns 2 parks, if I can say that, because they're all sold out, right? The actual companies that are in those own their parcels and their buildings. We have 1 5-acre site left in Lynchburg Center for Industry. That's right there where Belvac is actually in the old J. Crew building, and there's a site that's been subdivided out of that faces the road there that is, you know, there to be developed. It's private sector owns that, but it's there to be developed. There's a lease on the Master Brand building. And in Ivy Creek, we've gone from having, you know, 1 site, which was your site as you come into the park, 200 Jefferson Ridge, to now, you know, really having almost 5 sites, because we could get 2 sites off of what you just witnessed there, and then there's yet another site, and then, you know, we're working on the site that's across from 200 Jefferson Ridge to see how we can partner with the private sector on, you know, promoting that site, right? But it's really all about saying, and we've already looked at 200 Jefferson Ridge in terms of getting building, you know, permits and all of the things there. It's the grading. The next thing would be the grading, but to me, the grading is incredibly expensive. So the grading and participation by the city or the EDA is gonna be based on the prospect. And like how many jobs are they bringing to the table? And what is the pay rate on those jobs and all of those types of things. So yes.
You talk about potential infrastructure. Is there a plan to build roads into those site areas, or?
Once we get due diligence on exactly how much that'll cost, we have in CIP, in the capital improvement plan for the city, we have the due diligence costs that we had on the front end when we applied for the grants, and now we are, you know, taking that down even further to see exactly what it's going to cost to do that. So yes, it is. My goal is to have utilities and access to those sites. The big ticket item, as I said, is grading. This is not a flat city. So the grading is the most expensive part of infrastructure that we might consider. But as I said, that's going to be based on who's the company, how many jobs, and that type of thing. So my did you know would be that between Framatome, Delta Star, and our business support programs, our office has directly supported in the last year over 909 new jobs. or replace the jobs that went out. So, like I said, we're ready in those sites for development, and we've had 7 prospects in the last year. That might not sound like much, but I can count on one hand or half a hand how many prospects that we've gotten from the state or from anywhere else, right? Because they either want a building that's empty and it has to meet all of their criteria. And, you know, most of the time here, especially if it's owned by the private sector, we don't even get a shot at marketing it before somebody else, one of the existing companies here, goes in and takes it because they need additional space. So, like I said before, pad-ready site. It has utility connections to the parcel boundary road access. It's been rough graded, and construction permitting documents are in hand, or the whole team has been you know, educated on what needs to occur there. So we are growing our workforce. We've partnered, you all have partnered with 6 local workforce programs over the last year or so, which has benefited over 200 Lynchburg residents. So these programs, we talked about this at the last meeting, are Lynchburg City Schools, Beacon of Hope, Central Virginia Community College, the Framatome Nuclear Academy, CareerWorks, and Women in Machining. So these are all tied to sectors that are important: IT, nuclear, manufacturing, tourism and hospitality, and healthcare jobs. So when we start to look at sectors, right, if you look across the country, manufacturing is not set to grow. So if you have a large part of your GDP that is manufacturing, you're looking at how do you diversify some of that, right? Even though that is a really great job, and I think we're a really great place to do that. But you have to look at that. So healthcare, educational services have kind of flatlined. If you look at what the economists are predicting, and healthcare is the only one that's really growing. So this photo right here is of the Job Fit or Cloud Fit's internship program, and they bring in interns every year, and they open it up to everybody. They open it up to high school students, to college students, and to career changers to come in and have an immersive internship experience. They also give back to the community. They are, every year I go to Jubilee, and they will have, with all the kids there, they will have had camps with the kids, the interns from CloudFit. So 16 of these interns, and this program's only been in place 3 years, Alicia. 16 of the interns have been hired actually by CloudFit. What JobFit, CloudFit, JobFit is the 501c3 that they've set up. What they want to do now, and have always wanted to do, is to grow that program to provide interns to other major employers here, right? They can't hire all these people, but they know that good help can be hard to find. So they want to help those interns get jobs and get jobs in the city. And we're also partnering with the Regional Business Alliance. They have done a regional roadmap to workforce. So they've got a program in place. We got a lot of workforce development organizations, both federal, state, and local. Really sometimes can be very confusing to employers of how to intersect with all of that. So the alliance has come together and knowing all of that and tried to put a regional roadmap together that will really be informed by the corporations themselves, right? Telling people what they need, how to get those skill sets, how to do that. And we have seen in other places that it really makes a difference when the employers are involved and can tell people exactly, you know, what it is that they're looking for, and your ability to respond to that. Because many times, by the time the state or the tools we have can turn around and respond to it, your needs have changed. So right now, we have about 3,495 full-time jobs open in the city. And I was telling Gary earlier today, you know, of those, probably about 70% of those do not require a college degree. And so those are all things where, how do we connect people to skills, the skills they're gonna need to get those jobs? Let's see. Okay, next. Thank you. This is the ambassador program. So when we did the brand here, which you all supported us on, we really appreciate, we were told coming out of the pandemic that the businesses here really needed us to help them sell the city to talent, right? We also wanted citizens to be proud of where they lived and to remind them of all the great things that go on here. So this LWH Loves You brand and campaign has like a triple bottom line. We use it on the tourism side of the house from a visitor perspective. We use it as a public engagement tool with our residents, and we use it for talent. So this is a video of a Framatome employee. We feel like when it's a real employee, you might recognize someone in this video. When it is a real employee, it's authentic, and it's showing, you know, it reflects who we really are.
Hi, I'm Jackie Stevens. I'm an engineering manager at Framatome, headquartered in Lynchburg, Virginia. I've been with Framatome for almost 15 years now. One of our driving principles is clean energy, is a focus on the environment. Framatome and our teams, you know, we're all pulling for something. We all believe in nuclear energy. This just really powerful, incredible thing to solve a lot of the world's problems. And you see that, you feel that every single day in the office. Being a woman in engineering, trying to represent my teams, represent some of the more diverse populations of our engineering workforce. It's incredibly rewarding, but also can be very challenging because eyes are on you. I'm a mom, I've got 2 children. Life can be really messy for all of us in different ways at different times. We really just embrace the flexibility so that you're able to show up for your family, for your life when you need to. And of course, balancing that when we need you in the office, we need you here 100%. I love living in Lynchburg. It's really grown up. You know, there's a lot to do. Arts, entertainment, incredible restaurants, and raising a family here, it just works so well. It's home.
So I think that's been the ambassador program, the work that's been done by our folks here to do all that has been really, really beneficial. And so some of the folks that we have worked with have been Centra, Framatome, BWXT, and CloudFit in terms of featuring the ambassadors. And when we talk about what does talent want, it wants economic opportunity, urban lifestyle, amenities, and a welcoming culture. Investors go to great places with deep talent pools. So these are the kinds of things. We can't take our foot off the gas from a, you know, placemaking perspective and all that, because people can live anywhere and just about work anywhere nowadays. So it was really a record year on the tourism side. Tourism in Lynchburg is over 3,700 jobs and produced $25 million in state and local tax revenue. So, you know, the fact that we have those two things and we drive that kind of visitor numbers without a major attraction necessarily. I mean, I know we have Poplar Forest and D-Day and Appomattox, but our colleges and our businesses drive that coming here. So it's amazing. So Andrew, who's not here today because he has been detained on his way back from selling the city at a conference, he has booked 69 group tours, conferences, and sports-related events. That generated 63,385 visitors, 19,735 room nights, and $8.8 million in local spending. So we track everything that goes on there. And my did you know there is overnight visits throughout the city increased 19% from FY 2022. So this is all real, and we are taking the sports tourism plan that we had, and we are rebooting that just like we did with the strategic plan that we have. And so I spent the beginning of last week going to each one of the colleges, meeting with their athletic directors, their college presidents, events rights holders, talking to them about how we partner with them to utilize, and Parks and Rec, to utilize their facilities to attract sporting events here. And it was an absolutely exhausting but fabulous meetings because I really believe that the athletic directors and the college presidents are understanding that we are there to help them raise the visibility. Liberty already understands this, raise the visibility of their colleges, but also to drive some revenue to them on facilities, because facilities at any college is a huge overhead item there, to be used at the time when perhaps the students aren't there. So local commencements here, I know you've heard this stat before, but in those couple of weekends, it drove $17 million in economic impact and had over 60,000 people come to the city. So we are really, like I just said, we're trying to increase the colleges' enrollment numbers and also attract talent to their campuses, attract professors, attract talent for people to work for the colleges and universities, encourage college graduates to stay here, and then sports tourism, like I said, increase visibility and drive revenue. So we've had active partnerships. I think sometimes people think that tourism just happens, but we recently partnered with LU to host the Conference USA Volleyball and Football Championships. We assist them with hotel room blocks for their conference, for the bands, the teams, conference staff, and the media. And we also advertise with LU Athletics because that puts us on a world stage. That is how we continue to partner. So sports tourism, also just from our office, we have special events in our office, and that means on city property, events that are permitted. So Marisa in our office permits all those events. So working alongside Andrew, we permitted over 45 special events, and I'm sure we will do it even more with the Riverfront Park that's going to come here, going to be built here, and we had 31 sports tourism related events. So these are all things, like we try to extrapolate. We assist on all things, but what are the things generated from our office? So my last slide, I think, or next to last. Oh, I don't want to forget about this. Andrew will have a heart attack. So we landed the Professional Disc Golf Association World Championship, right? We beat out Finland, just so you know. This is a huge deal. Obviously, there's a world-class professional disc golf course designed by, one of the top players, like you hear of an Arnold Palmer golf course, or, but it's in Bedford County, right? So there will be 350 athletes. This is going to happen in, August. Thank you, Clayton. In August, so this is going to be an onslaught of people coming into the city, 20,000 spectators, and over $6.4 million in economic impact. And when I say economic impact, we used to couch things in terms of what was the sales tax or that type of thing coming back to the city. We're not talking about taxes anymore. What we're talking about is the money that'll go into the local businesses and businesses around here, because this event is coming here. And this is a huge coup. This puts us on a national stage for these types of things. So that's the logo that has been designed for this year and is being promoted all over the world with Lynchburg, Virginia, there at the bottom of the graphic. So, yeah, it's August, just to mark your calendars where you might want to not be out on the road, the 19th through the 24th. So telling our story, promoting the city of Lynchburg as a place to live and work and invest. We were in Southern Living magazine. I hope you all saw that. It was a 6-page spread. It had local attractions, but it also showed many of our local businesses. They were featured. Blue Ridge Outdoors named us a top adventure town. I believe that is still due to Emily Gwynn's tenacity at making everybody vote. Because we were alongside Asheville, right? So just by sheer will, she did that. And then we were named a top college town by Travel and Leisure magazine. So what's next is we have a job portal. I know I've told you all that before. We created a job portal, and we are digging down deep. As a matter of fact, Alicia's been meeting with people this week at the library, at Parks and Rec, and at Human Services. That job portal, what it does is it pulls from some thousands of job, portals, right? And condenses all of them so that our citizens can go into that job portal. They don't have to sign up. They don't have to be registered like you do on Indeed or some of those things. It takes all of that and puts it in one place and allows them to see what jobs, are available in the city and the region, right? So the employers, we were selling this to them to let them know this was available, right? We were not selling it as in money changing hands, but just trying to talk to them about the fact that we had this. And what we recognized is we really need to let the citizens know that this is available, and that they need to know at all the places that they might intersect, where they might go and look at a job, right? And if it's a job maybe that they're not qualified for today, maybe they can look at what the skill sets are necessary for that and connect with some providers, right? In the library, you've got assistants there. At Human Services, I was just so overwhelmed by the young woman that runs the program in Human Services and what they do down there to help people try to find work, try to find childcare, try to find all of the things. But you're juggling a lot of balls, so we just felt like we really needed to make a full court press to them to let them know that this job portal is available. Alicia has designed what she calls a Navigrid, and that is a piece that is on our website that tells you all the places you can go and what those places do in the city. And most of them are all free, right? You can go here to look for this kind of job. You can go here to get skills help. But all of that, we've done all of that here, but it doesn't do any good if somebody doesn't use it. So I'm always amazed how many of our citizens or our organizations here don't know what we have and what we're doing, right? So we are going to take the lead and try to put them in places and encourage them in the places where we certainly have a big, we have some influence. So the city's in the middle of a comprehensive plan, as you all know. We're eagerly awaiting to find out what that's going to be, because that'll influence us updating our strategic plan. We're going to continue to invest in destination marketing efforts to drive business retention, investment, talent, and visitors. And we're going to continue our site development efforts. So that's quite a plateful. And once again, I think all of this is connected. None of it stands alone. If you don't do one part of it, you're going to miss. So there's a person in tourism, and you've heard me say it before, but if you build a place where people want to visit, you'll build a place where people want to live. If you build a place where people want to live, you'll build a place where people want to work. If you build a place where people want to work, you'll build a place where business needs to be. And I think we are trying to do all of that. And all of that builds a resilient community. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, Margette, you kindly said that we were instrumental regarding the recent Framato announcements. I just wanted to say that you and your team were really truly instrumental in that, so thank you.
Well, thank you all. That's a game-changing
Yeah.
announcement, and really important to the city on lots and lots of levels.
Indeed. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or anything on Margette's presentation?
Nope. Thank you.
Sorry, it was really, really
Well done.
heavy, meaning to put in your Dropbox, right? And when I gave it up to council, we had a heck of a time getting it to load, and you always have that fear that you'll get up here to speak and none of your stuff will work. So anyway, it all went well, and I was very, appreciative of council's support over this year. Okay.
Excellent. Well, you may keep the floor and continue with your staff report.
Yeah, okay. So you've met Janelle, she's here, so glad. And I gave that report to City Council, and we are 50% of the way on the Ivy Creek site, and 62% of the way on the Airport Commerce Park site. We had 2 leads in the month of December on tourism side, and with an economic impact of $46,000, and 2 tentative leads with an economic impact of $2.1 million. I just can't even say enough about what Andrew has picked up the ball and is out there doing. Now, he has all of these things that we have are tools, right? But we came to play. We are here to play. In the past, sometimes you don't have the resources, but with you all support, I think we have resources, and I think I can safely say that when we are in competition with a prospect, if there is a building or there is a site or there is something that they that attracts their attention, the city and what we're doing here gets high marks from them, right? They don't come in and say, you didn't have this, you don't have that, which can be the case. They can say, your workforce is not what we're looking for, that they don't have the same kind of skills, that type of thing, or they are always talking about how the city, how downtown looks, because that's kind of the heartbeat of your community, but all of the things, right? And then to have 5 colleges and universities in the area just adds to the list of things that make this a great place. Clayton has been working with the forestry operation, so we're clearing as little as we can, so that it doesn't create a maintenance issue ongoing, but to make sure that those sites, you can have access to them, the Ivy Creek sites. And like I said, we had the Huddle Up Group, which is our consultant that did the sports strategic plan, and Airstream Ventures, which is helping us sell the city. We had them here, and we went and saw all of the colleges and universities and met with the Virginia 10 Miler, the soccer folks, Simon, all of those folks, to get them on the same page of, what we're trying to do to bring events here. And then, like I said, I'm just really excited about the meetings, and they're all complete, aren't they? Alicia has gone to see Human Services, Parks and Rec, and libraries in order to take this jobs portal and help their people get trained or figure out what we need to do on that side of it. And they've all been absolutely wonderful to work with in terms of they understand what that tool could do for citizens that already come into to their places. So we're still working on with VDP on Project Range, and we are continuing to respond to RFPs because of the work we've done on the sites. And we've got listed on there the places where we have gained publicity. The Virginia Economic Review, and then Lynchburg City Schools was in Business View, Civil and Municipal Magazine.
Anybody subscribe to that one? Just curious.
Are you tired yet?
Any comments or questions on the staff report? Thank you, Margette.
You're welcome.
Next on our agenda, we have Gary Woodson, who has some public comments to make. Gary, we don't get a lot of guests, so welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here today. I would like to thank Margette. I've been working with her for several years, and you folks there on the Economic Council. I think I met a few of y'all at the Berkeley Group presentation, but I certainly would like to thank our citizens that have come today that are in this, want the same thing that I would like to present. And basically here, I think, here's the packet, and I think she probably did you give each one of them? I've got the bullet points there, but it's not about why we can't, but it's what we can do for our citizens. And a short story, I came here in 1971, and a little company called Moore and Giles was downtown in 71, and there were two men and a woman there. And with that being said, you can see the success story that Moore and Giles has had since I came in 71. But my real reason for being here is for the workers that I consider have been left behind. And those are the ones now in the recent years, there are semi-skilled workers, those that are what we call second chance workers that maybe have had a little tough thing in life, but they want to work and have a job, and the workers in the city of Lynchburg that live below the poverty line. And of course, Margette and I were just chatting about a couple things, looking at vacant and partially used facilities in this city, and going back with KDC, Tritech, they were here when I came, employment opportunity of over 500 jobs lost. Master Brands, which she mentioned we have a lease on now. R. Donnelly. This one I've maybe miscued. Andrews, CommScope of Allen Technologies. They've moved around a little bit, but also is gone. The Sony Ericsson Ivy Creek building, which was a core business back in 2000, that is, I guess, partially leased now. The Wexco building, partially leased there. The Genworth, Sedgwick Inc. So they are facilities that had jobs, thousands of jobs that we don't have in the city of Lynchburg today. We need to do something to address those manufacturing type of jobs. As we stated, something that was an airport commercial park, which is, I guess, a joint venture with Campbell County to create manufacturing or site-ready opportunities there. The Ivy Creek Innovative Center, and then one that wasn't mentioned, they had the Central Virginia Training School, which was, I assume, was in a joint venture between, I guess it was between Amherst and the regional and the Lynchburg city there to have an opportunity to have a some type of facility growth there. But my real question is, what's being done for these citizens that would like to have a manufacturing job like they had back in the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s? I mean, I think we call those key industries. Is that right, Margette? Mm-hmm. What's being done to address that? And then, of course, we're looking at, Margette and I started talking about this back in the spring of 2022, I guess it was, with the anchor businesses, which are, the anchor businesses are Centra, University of Lynchburg, and Liberty University. So we need to have more anchor business to give opportunities to these citizens there that no longer are employed in, I look at those places I just so mentioned. But what creative ways do we have to reach and train the citizens that are being left behind? I know we have the city portal, which that's another subject in itself. And I had hoped to have the workforce, Virginia VEC to give me some facts on the jobs that are available. She sent me an email back yesterday saying that she was unable to release those facts to me personally there, so I'll have to go another way. But we need to engage as citizens, inner city citizens that would like to have a work opportunity, to get them a source of employment that's not an engineering degree, and we discussed that just a few minutes ago too. But Margetta and I had talked back 2 years ago on a project there called Amazon was building a project in Augusta County, and now it took them a while, but they now have that facility and it's employing about 500 individuals there in a non-technical type of environment. Also, just recently, she and I had talked about Tyson's Foods and the nice production facility that they just opened up in Danville, Virginia. I think that's probably, 400 to 500 jobs there. So those are things that I think that we need to do and address the opportunities for our citizens that fit that category there, that they want to work, but they don't have a college degree and are able to to participate in some of the work opportunities there. But again, I appreciate that. Oh, one of the things that was just mentioned, but correct me if I'm wrong on this, is that the fact that our city creates job opportunities for 70% of the people come from outside the city to work in the city. I addressed that point blank with the police chief back in 2000, and only, would you believe, of the Lynchburg Police Department, only 10% of the people that work for the LPD actually live in the city of Lynchburg. Ask the same question to the fire chief. How many, and I don't know the numbers there, but this was 2 years ago. How many of your workers actually live, pay taxes in the city? And at the time, only 20% were actually city residents. We need to do some things to help our residents with multiple job opportunities. It kind of astonishes me when, correct me if I'm wrong now, that we create jobs, and I found out a lot of this to be true when I took the Citizens Academy. All these workers are coming from outside the city to work inside the city. We need to do something to address the concerns of our local residents. So I thank you for hearing me today. Look forward to continue my work with Margette, and then also with you all as we look into the Berkeley Group's projection of what this city is going to look like in 2050. Thank you.
Thank you for your interest and your time.
Amen, Gary. Okay,
All right,
that's all I have.
and no need for closed session today, correct? Anybody have any items to bring forward before we adjourn? All right, next up will be Finance Committee. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.